Hey everybody, if you needed a deck to jump into Standard right now but are low on wildcards, specifically rare and mythic rare wildcards, this is the deck for you. This is mono white aggro, but it is altered to make sure that we only have commons and uncommons. The original version of this deck runs 9 rares, 1 land, and then 4 copies of Spellbook Vendor and 4 copies of the enchantment that makes a 2/1 spider token. Instead, we're going to run Fear of Surveillance. This is a 2 mana, 2/2 enchantment creature. So the enchantment is front loaded. As soon as you play it, you get that enchantment trigger. It also has Vigilance. And whenever this creature attacks, you get to surveil one. So you get to look at the top card of your library, put it on the bottom, put it in the graveyard, or keep it on top of your library. The other change that we have is Case of the Getaway Express. This is 2 mana for an enchantment that when it comes in, each of your creatures deal 1 damage to target creature. So it's a removal spell in the form of an enchantment. To solve this case, 3 of your creatures need to attack this turn. And then, when it is solved, creatures you control get +1/+0 for the rest of the game. So early removal spell, later on a pump spell, exactly what this deck is looking for. The rest of the deck is filled out with those mono white aggressive creatures. Optimistic Scavenger to put +1/+1s every time you play an enchantment. Veteran Survivor to get a quick 2/1 out and attacking early on. And if it's able to get through, you're taking cards out of your opponent's graveyard. Wonderweave Aerialist, a 2 mana 2/2 with Ward 2 that also has flying on your turn, meaning your attacking turn. These are going to be the same creatures in the mono white aggro deck, and they're going to be backed up with pump spells like Feather of Flight that's going to give +1/+0 and flying. Ethereal Armor is the big one, +1/+1 and first strike for each enchantment that you control. And Shardmaid's Rescue, +1/+1 and hexproof for that turn. So in case you're getting targeted with targeted removal, you can go ahead and blank that while you're adding to your enchantment count. We're going to play 20 planes, all commons and uncommons. Let's jump in and see how it works, and then we'll go ahead and compare it a little bit to the mono white aggro that you're more used to. Here we go. We're going to jump into the first game here, playing mono white aggro, no rares at all. Commons and uncommons. Make this deck. This way you can test it out and see if you like the archetype before you have to invest all in on this kind of deck. So we're going pretty heavy on this Veteran Survivor. We're going to try and get him up and attacking as soon as possible. And let's see what we got. We can get rid of blockers. We can get rid of blockers even more and make our opponent use Ward if they wanted to. We're going to get out the Survivor and see what our opponent does. Okay, starting town really could be anything right now. So we're going to go ahead and Scavenger and get out Ethereal Armor really quickly. Put a +1/+1 on. Get in for a bunch of damage. Let's see what happens. Whatever they're going to do, they're going to have to do it really quickly. If this is going to be something like a Badger Mole Cub, it's not going to be fast enough. Simic, so it could really be anything. It could be the big Omniscience style decks. It could be Simic Aggro. Could be bouncing a creature back to hand. Okay. Certainly something that is in the realm of possibility here. We're going to go ahead and play Fear of Surveillance, get the enchantment trigger right away, and keep attacking. Opponent's down to 13. And this is a Steam Core Scholar. Probably looking to get some cards into the graveyard. Looks like we're going to be able to eat at least one of them next turn, And we're also going to surveil ourselves. Yep. Okay. So, this is going to be a veteran survivor eating the scholar. We're going to put the +1 here. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but not enough. So we'll go ahead and that will probably do it there. So we're going to have to grab one of these from the graveyard. Our opponent, if he just goes Caverno and brings one of these creatures back, we don't really care which one comes back. Guess we could take. This is more of a problem long term, right? Yeah, let's take this for now. And we do have rescue up. He plays one big creature, we swing around and then have 2 +1/+1s to dole out. Plus each one of those enchantments we give a +1 from the optimistic scavenger. And so that is a prime example of what this deck is doing. We are condensing the game so that all of these larger, more splashy style cards are not going to have an advantage over us because they're just not going to have enough turns. Every single mana is crucial. Every single decision is crucial. This is not something where you're going to make a mistake on turn 2 and then you're going to make it up, and by turn 9 you're going to be turning the corner and winning the game. That's not the way that these games play out. This is a win fast or lose fast kind of deck. So here we would start with Veteran Survivor and then have Scavenger and then either Seam Rip or Rescue up so that you could go ahead and get the +1/+1 counter in case they get rid of Scavenger. If they get rid of Survivor just right off the rip, nothing we can do about that. But this way we'll be getting in there for damage. And then we have the option for turn 3 to get rid of another creature if necessary. Starting town. So no idea exactly what our opponent is playing yet, but we'll go ahead and see what they're doing by turn 2 here. Is this the same? Is this the same one? Possible for sure. Let's go to attackers and find out what we're going to do. I mean, I'd like to get Feather of Flight in. Let's try it. We're going to move the +1 on this one, Feather of Flight on that one. That's what we really wanted to do, is get that extra land. Yep. Yep. We can go ahead and Seam Rip this next turn. Or we could always case of the Getaway or Express. That's really want to do when you have 3 creatures out, but either way it's fine. This will be 2 enchantments. Yeah, so I think we will... Let's try Seam Rip first. We'll put a +1 on Survivor. Again, we have Rescue up. Yep. This is going to be okay for us. And then we're going to need to attack in. So we're going to have to put this 4th toughness on Veteran Survivor so that we can go ahead and attack. Still get 6 damage in. And now we'll eat the creature. Now the opponent is in some fairly tough shape. They're going to have to do something very quickly here. Okay, and something is obviously going to happen here, but will it happen to both creatures? Not 100% sure. We'll go ahead and move to attackers and find out. Okay. And we will give this hexproof. We're going to put the counter on it. And we're going to give this hexproof again, right? If they have another bounce, no, they don't. So we deal 4 damage in the air, even if they do block the 5/4 with their 2/1, they still take the 4 damage in the air, and that is game. High impact, high strategy, just getting in there, attack, 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 every single turn. Format is really fast, and so you definitely want to be doing something every single turn. There are a few decks, like the control decks in the format, that they may not have to use every single piece of mana, but for most decks in this format, it's every single one in order to make sure that you are keeping pace. Slower hand, and also on the draw. So let's see what this looks like. We'll start with Scavenger. We have a few removal. Not something we're super worried about right now, but I would like to get something down so that we can start growing our creature. So we'll get the +1/+1 counter there. This way we'll hold up the rescue. Few too many lands here right now. We just have to pass. Bad sign for our deck. They could just sacrifice this and yep, they're just going through cards, getting everything into the graveyard. Yep, too many lands. Not really going to be able to do anything about this. Best case scenario, we get rid of a blocker here. We attack with lifelink. They don't know that we're drawing all these lands, so maybe they think there's more stuff there than there really is. But they're gonna find out really quickly, right? Yep. Discover 5. Yep. They can't pay the ward. But, oh my god, 4 lands. There's just nothing we can do. We can't attack in. We can't block. We're just in trouble. Maybe our opponent doesn't have anything. But I would assume that they have something to follow up. Yep. They're going to do this and make the 2/2. And block with the 2/2. Certainly an available line for them. Yep, this deck is not winning with 6 lands. 9 lands overall. This is not something this deck is coming back from. But okay, we'll see what happens here. We are technically winning the race here, right? Opponent did not specifically understand ward. Yep. But they don't need to. They're going to dump their whole hand here. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'll let them do it. They earned it. Yeah. Make sure you get that land drop in there. Yeah. Good games. Wow. Okay. Relying just on Zombify, it looks like. Interesting. There's the new one from Lorwyn Eclipse that costs 5, but you also have the chance to play it as an instant. That looks really enticing against some of these decks here. But okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. Okay. Slower hand, we start on turn 2, but we are on the play. Ward 2 makes it really hard to get rid of this, especially if we then shelter by Ghost their 2-drop. They just stopped and looked to see if they had enough mana, but of course the ward was too high, so they might play the 2-drop instead. Yeah. And so now, when we go ahead and shelter, this is going to be ward 4. So opponent's going to have a very hard time getting this off the battlefield. It's going to be 3 flying with lifelink. Yep. We'd love to get another creature so that we could go ahead and case and get rid of something, but not in the cards right now. We'll see what our top deck is. Also not in the cards. So let's go ahead and attack in there. We're going to keep rescue up in case this is like a big pump and then attack and then have enough mana to get through the ward. Could be something like that. The 1 mana, like +3, +1, those kind of things will net you mana on something like this. So they're doing Slick Shot instead. Okay. Another creature would be really nice next turn. Okay. Is it a pump or something? Yep. Come on, any creature then shoot something and keep attacking. Wow. Okay. There's no reason to play this, right? It's not going to do anything. Let's go ahead and attack. Rescue is not going to do anything to help this case get any better. It will stop when they're ready to do something for this guy. Full bore, yep. This is going to be a lot of damage. Luckily we do have this life link to help our life total. Is this where they go for it? Play like a 1 mana removal spell. Nope. Okay. That's it. Wow. Good math on the opponent's side. They had a maybe they were so used to the deck they can do those numbers in their head. I was about to say they have to run those numbers. Maybe they don't really have to. Maybe they just know them. I think the deck is doing really well, holding its own with commons and uncommons. You can see the main version of this deck, 58% win rate on best of 1, and I think it was 57% on best of 3 on MTG Arena. Obviously a little bit less powerful without the rares, but I would expect similar numbers, maybe just a tad lower. Not a lot of protection, which is tough, but it is something that we can definitely keep. We're going to have to make sure we really get a nice spot for Feather of Flight so that we can draw that card. Okay. We'll start with the Survivor. Sheltered means we get the ward that we're looking for. If that's what they were doing, we get to get the biggest one off the board. And Paw Patch, okay? Not worried about the aggro with Shelter by Ghost. We will give them a +1/+1, but we can take one of them right now, but we can't attack, can we? But either way, we're gonna be a little stuck. So we can set ourselves up for the next turn. And okay. Got 3 cards. White in here, okay. Creatures are gonna get big. Okay. Only gonna be able to attack with the 1, right? This is first strike. Next turn, everything is 2 mana, right? So that's kind of a problem. You just block this, right? Okay, Seam Rip, that's what we wanted. Okay. So now we take 1 Paw Patch. He's going to get 2 counters. And we're also going to get a +1/+1. Let's put it here. Again, we're really worried about the life here. So this lifelink swing, usually we don't go all in on one creature, but they're not going to have any removal. So they're going to get 1 +1/+1 counter. They can put it on either creature, but we're going to end up gaining 9 life here. And while this guy can grow, I think our guy will outpace him. And get a card out of the graveyard. Okay, he's going to get some triggers. But we're going to get to put this in the air. And that's going to be enough, +1. And then also the yep. Yeah. So, if we didn't know it was enough, now we do. Yep. We go to attack with 11 and hit him for Xaxes to the face there. Again, just a few removal spells with the lifelink. Without the lifelink, that doesn't work out. So Shelter by Ghost, important card in this deck. Something you definitely want to be looking for in all of your opening hands. Without it, you don't win that game. Our guys will not grow and keep pace as quickly, and even if they do, their guys were going to surround it, right? There was a time that they had 5 creatures on the board, and we had 1 guy with first strike. This one, unfortunately, you can't keep. It would be nice, and if you really want to just play for the fun of it, if there happens to be a 1-mana creature on the top of the deck, it's not so bad, but if you're really looking to play it the right way, you just can't keep something like that. Here, you'll have to keep something closer to this. We're going to keep 6. Now, if Veteran Survivor was in our hands, we would definitely play it. But I think we're going to have to go a little bit slower. We're going to have to go Scavenger, and then Aerialist, and then the turn after try and play 2 enchantments. We'll see how that ends up panning out. If this is something like a Reanimator deck, we're going to wish we had the other one in our hands, but that is how it goes. Ethereal Armor on Aerialist would be really awesome. And then follow it up with a case would be great. Does want you to be attacking with 3 creatures, of course. So we're not there yet. We'll go ahead and attack. And we'll take the Aerialist. And now we have plenty of options next turn. Okay. I mean, I think we play it here now. Otherwise, we're not really doing much. We don't have a lot of protection. The only protection we have is the natural protection from having the Ward 2, right? Like how expensive everything costs. Case is not going to do really well for us here. So, kind of a dead card. I don't think that this hand is going to hold up here. Veteran Survivor would not have done any better. And speaking of the Survivor, at least we have it now. We'll play it. See what the opponent does. See, looks like he might want to pick up some cards. Okay. I mean, yeah, I think at this point we just play. We'd love to get this to a 2-turn clock. But we are giving up our hand, right? Like, there's no secrets here. Now, the opponent knows what's up. Let's see what they do. A Verge on their side, 5 mana. We can't get rid of anything big, so if this is a Shiko or something like that, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. I mean, we're going to go for it here because why not? We're going to put this down, put this to 5, and then attack in. My assumption is this is not going to work, but this is the best. This is the best play that we have at the time. We're going to end. He's going to go digging. And how is he not going to find a removal spell, right? At this point, even spot removal, he'll have enough to pay the board cost for. So he's looking for a board wipe. He's looking for a spot removal that he can pay. It's only 2 mana to pay, so all the spot removal becomes effective now. Lightning Helix to gain some life. Let's see if spade out a counter spell. Our opponent seems too smart to fall for it, but you never know. Yeah. He does have to have a counter here. Or he could have a bounce spell, to be honest. With all those cards, I assume he had something. Okay, no, he has the counter. Okay. Now he's gonna play something that Seam Rip could have taken away. Like that would be the worst. He's gonna look 6 more cards deep. Again, he only got 1 card out of this, but he looked 6 cards deep. So he's got to be on a sweeper of some sort here, I would think. Is it something like stock up and he's trying to decide, like, does he have enough mana to stock up, find a spot removal, and pay for it and the ward? Yep. And then he loses. Wow. Play with your armor, play Shelter by Ghost, take away one of the creatures on the ground. It doesn't matter, they can't block anyway. Wow, good win by this no rare mono white aggro deck. So let's take a look at the deck list again and go over a couple of things. Some things I noticed after playing it, and then compare it to the deck list that we have for the regular version, right? So, from the games that we've played, Fear of Surveillance does a great 1-for-1 replacement for Spellbook Vendor. If the games went longer and longer, Spellbook Vendor has the ability to make an enchantment every single turn at the cost of 1 mana. So, think about how many other turns we had in general, and then how many other turns we could afford to spend the 1 mana. I think Fear of Surveillance is a great 1-for-1 replacement. Case of the Getaway Express. This though was not. So in the main version of the deck, you have the enchantment that makes a 2/1 spider. It gives us, instead of 16 creatures, it gives you 20 creatures. And so the density of creatures a little bit higher in the other one. So here, the number of creatures that you'll have, not as high. So this is really going to deal 1 to 2 damage, and then possibly be able to get +1/+0 if you attack with 3 creatures. Truth is, if you attack with 3 creatures and they all survived, you won the game anyway. So I think this solved condition might be a little bit of a win more. So let's go ahead and take a look at the regular mono white aggro. These are the 9 rares that are added to the deck that we just played, and I'll have the deck list in the pinned comment below. But a most helpful Weaver. This is 2 mana for a 2/1 green spider token. On the second turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and on the third turn, target creature gets double strike. Honestly, third one doesn't come into effect all that often. Usually the games are being wrapped up. Spellbook Vendor, this is another 4 of, and of course the token enchantment. And then just 1 copy of Abandoned Air Temple. This land enters tapped unless you control a basic land. Because you only have 1 of this, if you have this in your opening hand, you have another basic land in your opening hand. Otherwise, you didn't keep the hand anyway. So this comes into play untapped 99% of the time. Tap for white, but you can also pay 4 and tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. The higher density of creatures mean that you just have more effects, and so I would think that if you needed to replace, you could replace the Spellbook Vendor for sure, but I would definitely look to grab 4 copies of a most helpful Weaver, 3 copies if you really can only afford it, but you could play the case for the 4th copy if you really wanted to. Please let me know what you think about content like this. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. Comment down below. Let us know what you think about this deck, whether it's the full version or the common and uncommon only version. And subscribe if you want to see more content like this. We post three videos a week, and so there's always something going on here on the channel. Subscribe is the best way to make sure that you get notified, so you always know what is being uploaded. If you want to take your support to even a further level, consider joining our channel membership. We have exclusive member-only videos. We have polls that really guide the direction of the channel, and then we have a community Discord where we could take discussions about decks like this and broaden them out and make them really helpful for you. So consider joining if you want to take your support that far. Otherwise, until next time, have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.